The second reason that I hear why people go solar is because they're tired of renting their electricity and they want to own their electricity. Okay? I remember once I was sitting in a home and the woman said to me, well, I just don't want a debt. So I walked over to the light switch and I turned it off and I turned it on and I politely looked at her and go, what did I just do? I just incurred a debt. And if you don't pay that debt when it comes due in a couple days, guess what? They'll turn your electricity off in 10 days. You have a debt every time you turn on that light switch. So a lot of people are beginning to understand that they want to own an asset instead of a debt. Why did you buy your house in the first place? Why do we own homes, right? Instead of just renting. Why don't all of us just rent? That's the big thing nowadays, right? The Great Reset, you're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. I don't know if the American dream's going to go washing away that quickly, right? Well, why? That's the reason. Home ownership has stayed ahead of inflation for years. Last year, 2021, in that craziness of our pandemic, inflation went up a huge amount, 6.8%. And look what houses did. They went up by 18%. We know that's why we buy houses. I live, as I've said, right near Austin, Texas. And I saw this news report in the local station. They pointed out that rent here in the Austin area has gone from $1,300 to $1,600 to $1,900 all in the same year. Think about it. When you buy a mortgage, you fix your rate at that mortgage. Even though the home's value goes up over years, your mortgage stays right there, right? But what happens when you rent? Well, as the value of the home goes up, more houses get sold, and every time they get sold, the new person that buys it has to charge rents that are commensurate with how much they're paying. And therefore, the cost of rent always goes up. The same is true with your electricity. If you own it, you fix that price, and if you don't, you're renting it, and it just continues to go up. I guess the point is this. All of us have a mortgage. It's just if you're renting, that mortgage belongs to somebody else, whether that be your house or your electricity. So whose assets are you paying for when you rent your electricity? Or let me ask you this. The car sitting in your driveway, do you own it? Or does it belong to Hertz or Avis? You own it, don't you? Right. Why? How about all the things in your home? Your washing machine, your microwave, right? The toaster, the living room set, the TV, your bicycles. Why do we buy these things instead of rent them? Again, the question, whose asset are you paying for? Warren Buffett knows why he invests in electric companies. Because every year he gets an average of 5 to 6% raise on his investment every single year. And if you don't pay your rent, they cut you off. Warren Buffett owns Pacific Power, and Pacific Power, I believe, owns Rocky Mountain. So he owns the utility in much of the western states. Who else owns our electricity production these days? Would you believe the Queen of England? Yeah, she does. Because she owns Rio Tinto, and Rio Tinto owns a lot of the coal mines throughout the United States. So the question then again is, whose asset are you paying for? We're paying for somebody's mortgage. Is it mine? Is it theirs? That's the question I ask myself. As we know, when we rent something, the rent increases by 3 to 6% every year. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to pay it or they turn the lights off. With a fixed payment, when you own it, it stays the same. Let me ask you this though. What about most of the things that we buy? Do they appreciate? I just bought one of those Ninja air fryers. Only used it for about a month. I love it. Do you think I could sell it in a yard sale this next weekend and go, oh, but it's only been used for a month, even though I got a lot of bacon grease in the bottom of it? No, we know that, right? Not trying to be condescending. The stove, the refrigerator, the microwave, all that stuff. If I wanted to sell that sofa set, it's not going to sell for what I paid for it, nor is the TV. How about your car? We all had our parents tell us this, right? When we bought our first car, our first new car, because that was really the only way we could do it. So we hadn't saved up enough money and they were giving them to anybody that could fog a mirror, right? But what did your parents tell you? Get gap insurance. Because that car is going to be worth less than what you paid for it the day you walked off that lot. And you're going to owe more on that loan for the next 3 years than that car is worth. So if you get in an accident during the first 2 to 3 years, you better have gap insurance or you're going to end up having to pay the lender. We know that. That's what our parents taught us. One of my favorite books of all time is not Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's Cash Flow Quadrant, still written by Robert Kiyosaki, but it's the Cash Flow Quadrant. And in there, he claims that a real asset is something that puts money in your pocket. That's what a solar system does. Let me explain. When you buy a solar system, even if you finance it, your bill is fixed for 20 or 25 years. That's what the blue section there is representing. The yellow section is the value of that electricity that's being produced. And note that it keeps on producing even after, 25 years. There's no reason that your solar system isn't going to continue to generate value for you long after the 25-year warranty is over with, by the way. It's just that the solar companies want to get that warranty off their books, so they ended at 25 years. But there's no reason to say that your solar system is going to quit working in year 25. There's no moving parts. It'll continue to work. But that red line and everything under the red line is the cost that is going up in the cost of electricity each year. So the value of your solar system goes up every single year because it's producing the same amount of electricity, but the cost of that electricity is going up. So your solar system is one of the few things that you can buy that increases in value over time.